I'm pretty happy to go out this week. I would really, it's supposed to remain hot for a bit, but I'd really like to get out there and do a couple of studies, some plein air studies, and it won't be too long before school is out. I don't want to go out during the weekends. There are too many people around. Once school is out, then all summer there are too many people around. So I think I have a bit of a window here, and if I can, I'd like to take advantage of that. And seeing as where I live here, some of your best access to nature involves being in and amongst a lot of trees. I'm not too worried about using up some sort of, again, greenish tint for the canvas. But I think I would like to tint these two. It's really not that often that I go onto a white canvas anymore. I used to do it more, but not so much anymore. So we'll just tint. I got two of these, so I'll just tint them both 12 by 16 inch. And it'll sort of remove one step that I'll have to do next week if I have the opportunity to go out. The opportunity and the willingness, I should say. So again, I have some ultramarine blue on my palette, and a little bit of burnt sienna, and a little bit of yellow ochre left. So yeah, we'll use that up. And I have a brush that isn't much good to me as far as accurate brushwork is concerned. It could still be used, but we'll just use it for scrubbing in this one. That works just fine. That's okay. Let's see here, I've got one pile mixed, and I'd like to see if I can stretch it out long enough to get this whole painting covered with it. I think it'll work. So yeah, I still haven't decided on my subject matter. I know I mentioned in the last video that by the time this video came along, I would either have a charcoal drawing in place, or I would at least have an idea of what I wanted to do. And yeah, this is my idea. I'm going to go out and possibly do something plein air, or I might just take a drive and come back. But I think in general what I'd like to do is something in nature, play with some, seeing as we're having sunny days, those can cast some harsh shadows, which, if you're amongst the trees, provides you great light and dark contrast, a lot of drama. Typically the photographer or a painter, midday, it's not a good time because you don't have as clear shadows. But that really applies more to areas that are more open, where the sunlight and the ambient light aren't that decipherable. A lower sun is kind of nicer, but when you get in amongst trees, there's a canopy above you, and there are strong trunks and what have you, and they all cast shadows. So it's pretty forgiving that way. Okay, that's this one. Alright. Now I've mixed up the rest of my yellow ochre, because if I do go out, after the weekend. I'll put it this way, if I leave it over the weekend, my yellow ochre will have if not a skin on it, it'll be dry enough that it won't be usable. So I'll use up that. And a little more of the ultramarine blue I've got. And burnt sienna. My friend, one of my best friends, burnt sienna. Apparently, years ago, when my dad attended the Academy of Arts and Related Sciences in Den Haag, or The Hague in Holland, one of the exercises that they were made to do was use an extremely limited palette for their paintings. And that palette was burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and some white. So really, in theory, 2 colors and white. Which I didn't learn until later, but makes sense to me because you can do a lot of things with those 2 colors. They're warm and friendly. You can make them very dark. You know, if you don't add any white and if you don't add any medium to it, you end up with, well, to the eye, it's pretty much black. And if you thin them off, they are of such a consistency that they allow light to come through from your canvas very easily. And if you use white on either of them, or with, mix white with either of them, you end up with, depending on how much white you add to them, you can end up with some pretty high chroma paint, pretty high chroma colors. And yeah, then you end up with, there are your strengths. So they're both strong enough colors to hold their own. And they're both, I guess, what I would call reasonably mature looking colors. They're not too garish, they're not too gaudy. I guess I got a little generous with the paint there. They're easy to tone down, and they're also easy to make strong. So maybe that's why they did it. I don't remember. I don't remember the reasoning behind it. I just remember my dad telling me that that was one of their exercises. Okay, and that's what I've used here, but it's just no wash-in. I think I've covered the shoulders well enough. Nice warm wash-in. Will be another good color for being amongst the trees. And if it doesn't end up being painted from amongst the trees, it's a good color for anything. Okay, we'll see what happens next week. See you. Oh yeah. And happy Mother's Day.